Hey, welcome to the channel. Recently, over the past couple months, I have been hella busy working on a dream project tentatively titled TrendForge. As someone who creates online content, I wanted a tool that would help me create better content. I wanted a low-level brainstorming machine, a tool that would say, hey, topic XYZ in whatever category is really popping off. For instance, the recent Sora video generator went from initially loving praise and universal hype to slowly moving through the product lifecycle, eventually being talked about ad nauseum, before public sentiment started to shift to a more critical view, and then favorability fell off the cliff, and the poor old girl got taken out behind the woodshed and put down. RIP, you crazy diamond. Now, with that example, there were plenty of narrative arbitrage opportunities where there was a gap in what was being said on things like social media to what was being reported on in the mainstream media. Anyone who found that gap, either intentionally or by chance, would have had their content do much better than if they were one of the people still glazing it days before it was unceremoniously ended. By that point, praising it was very much played out. So now that we have a quick rundown of a real-world narrative arbitrage opportunity and we know what it is, how can we find it? That's where we need to start really having a good understanding of what AI is and how LLMs do what they do. In order to track trends, we're going to need to do a lot of clustering, vectorizing, and then finally some of that cosine mathematics people claim have no real-world applications. Check out this graph. It's a great example of what we are doing. It shows how simple words like apple are given a vector value, or three numbers in a group, one for x-axis, one for y, and one for the z-axis. Now these numbers are contextual, so when apple is in the fruit group, its numbers are close to the same numbers for banana. But when it's in the technology group, its number is very similar to the number for iPhone. If you understand that, then congratulations. You're on your way to being an AI developer. Fun fact, while I was creating this project, I even got my official participation award from Google Gemini, so that was pretty cool. Anyways, back to TrendForge. The app works in three stages. Stage one is ingesting, or eating if you're hungry. This is where we pull in data from all sorts of sources, basically anything with an RSS feed or an API. This part is really user dependent. If you want to find arbitrage in economic topics, that set of sources is obviously different than if you're finding trends in anime topics. The average consumer of both of these topics are using different websites, different subreddits, and different apps, so the app needs to be flexible enough to go get the content where it's being produced. Once we have the content, it's time for all that embedding, aka vectorizing, where we start turning words into numbers and numbers into mathematically significant predictions. We are using things like Rubix machine learning to apply TF IDF, or term frequency inverse document frequency, DB scan, density-based spatial clustering of application with noise, and RAKE, rapid automatic keyword extraction. That's a lot of acronyms. These are all hugely popular local AI tools that allow us to get really far into things without requiring a single token. If you find yourself in a similar need of needing to use AI to solve problems that simply asking a chatbot can't solve, it's pretty much this kind of workflow. You figure out what your content is, how to get it, etc., and then you turn that content into numbers, and then you do some math on those numbers. So now that we're through the first two levels of the chart, the final level is where we do even more math. This is where we start doing some pretty technical analysis. This is what took up the bulk of the coding time for me. This is where we need to do things like define baselines, centroids, where the center of the cluster is, and figuring out if there are any of the 6 different types of market signals. The whole app is built around identifying these market signals, which are standard economic business terms that have cool names like Black Swan and Blue Ocean. The app is constantly crunching numbers to try to identify if any of the thresholds or patterns have been found to identify these signals, and once the signal is found, that's what we show to the user as an arbitrage opportunity or something that they should write a story about. Alright, now that you've seen the big picture view of how TrendForge turns raw signals into straight fire content, let's rip the hood clean off and meet the unsung technical heroes that actually make this thing scream. I've been a PHP fanboy since day one, but let's be real, PHP hasn't exactly had the coolest reputation. Then PHP 8 dropped and finally gave us strict types as first-class citizens. About damn time. Welcome to the show. But the real game changer nobody's talking about, DTOs, data transfer objects. Spadey's package is straight up wizardry. I wired it into TrendForge and the entire codebase went from chaotic mess to pressure washed perfection. Modern apps are built in clean layers, database, logic, UI. The problem? Shuttling data between them usually turns into a dumpster fire of raw arrays and mystery meat. DTOs fix that instantly. They're stupidly simple, logic-free containers whose only job is to haul clean, strictly typed data from point A to point B. No guessing, no drama. Think of them as shipping containers for your data. No business logic, no baggage, just perfectly structured cargo. That's exactly why TrendForge's pipeline feels buttery smooth. Raw signals roll in, get processed, then blast out clean everywhere, including straight into WordPress blogs. We feed the blog live trend signals, the AI spits out ready to publish draft in seconds. No more hope this post goes viral prayers. With TrendForge, you know you're dropping content while the iron's white hot. Now, besides DTOs gluing the M and C of MVC together like pros, I was straight up impressed with Tailwind V4 and Fly on UI. The jump from V3 to V4 was massive. I didn't even touch Sass. The whole damn app is pure CSS. I thought I'd miss all the nesting and mix-ins, but V4's tools are so stupidly powerful, I barely miss them. My UI looks fire and my style sheet is tiny compared to any of my old SCSS projects. If you used to hate on Tailwind, give V4 a shot. I did, and I'm never going back. And the final piece that let me ship TrendForge as a solo madman, Laravel Volt, Livewire's rocket fueled sidekick. Volt is stupidly simple. Full stack interactive components in one single file. PHP logic plus blade markup, done. No React, no Vue, no context switching hell. I wired up modals, real-time updates, database calls, everything without ever leaving PHP. I considered going full React, sure, it might have felt a tiny bit snappier, but I would have spent twice as long fighting two codebase instead of actually shipping a product. Volt let me move at light speed while keeping everything, backend, front-end, state, in one beautiful, consistent language. For a one-person rocket ship, that's not convenient, it's pure joy. If you're still here, hit the link in the description and grab a beta invite. I'm hunting real testers to smash bugs before the big public launch. Future roadmap, bigger API, Statamic support, and way more. The ride's just getting started. One last thing before we roll credits. I used to be a full-blown Cursor fanboy until TrendForge slammed me into the $20 token wall. Then I found TRAE. TRAE stands for The Real AI Engineer. From ByteDance, yeah, the TikTok crew. $3 a month. Now, originally, up until I started writing the script for this video, I actually thought TRAE was some sort of scrappy project put out by a solo dev. I don't know why I thought that, but that is not the case at all. It's regardless of who puts it out, it is stupidly good. Pro tip, always hit new task after each job or it does get weird. Once I started doing that, smooth as silk. Almost as powerful as Cursor for literally 1/10ish the price. If you want a cheap beast mode AI IDE, TRAE just earned my hell yes stamp. Go try it yourself. Alright, that's the full behind the scenes on how I built TrendForge as a one-man wrecking crew. If you're still here, first off, thank you, seriously. And if you want me to make a part 2 where I go full nerd and rip open the custom local AI engine, sentiment analysis, centroid clustering, the whole wild content prediction beast, just say the word in the comments, I'll make it happen. I'm also dropping a much deeper technical blog post over at human.com if you want the dense version without all the YouTube filter. This project ate every waking minute of my life for months. I really want to make it work and actually turn into some sort of real business. So if you're curious or you create content for a living, smash the link in the description and try it, please. No account needed for the coolest part, the public wall of truth that shows real predictions, real scores, and proves the engine actually works. Alright, that's it from me. Thanks again for watching. Drop those comments, grab that beta invite, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.